I wanted to share with you guys what I've been reading. I've been reading a ton the last month or so, and I finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 books. So I just wanted to give you guys my honest review. They're like right here. These are all the books I finished. Well, actually I didn't finish one, so we'll get to that. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys my honest thoughts, what I loved, what I didn't love, the book I didn't finish, and what I'm currently reading and what I plan to read next. So let's just get into it. Okay, so starting off, I just did an entire review about The Summer I Turned Pretty, so I'm not going to go into it too much here, but briefly, I read The Summer I Turned Pretty. I actually read the entire trilogy. It's Not Summer Without You and We'll Always Have Summer by the lovely Jenny Han. Like I said, I went into more detail on my last video, so if you want to know more about my thoughts on the series and the casting and the entire trilogy, I do a spoiler-free version in the beginning, and then I get into the details in the second half of the video, so go ahead and go there if you want to know more. But basically, I loved it. I honestly really enjoyed it. It brought me back to my first love. It brought me back to the beach and like summertime as like this magical time, and I don't know, I feel like this is essentially summer in a book. So if you want a light, fun summer read, I highly encourage it. The Asian American representation is amazing. There's a love triangle. I'm Team Conrad. You can't tell me otherwise. If you read the books, you'd understand. But no, I just thought it was really well written, and of course it's a little bit cheesy. It's like a love story, it's like romance, but I don't know, I just enjoy it. Like, I thought it was like so wholesome, and I don't know, it's just, it's a joy to read. So I think give it a chance. If you like the first one, you'll definitely like books 2 and 3. So yeah, let me know what you think. So I have mini like baby bangs and they're not cooperating with me. I was trying to do like a messy bun aesthetic, but I don't know what's happening. So just bear with me. I really wanted bangs, and then I told myself not to get bangs because I have the wedding, but the wedding's like a year away, so I'm like, let me just do it now for the summer. If I hate it, I can grow them out and I'll be fine. So we'll see. I think I have to get used to them. They're like, right now they're not at their best. I need like the styling tools to make sure they stay, but they're kind of like curtain fringe bangs, and they're very subtle. There's only like a couple. I didn't want to go too crazy. So we'll see. Anyways, my next summer read, One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serle. I gotta like look up how to pronounce the names because I feel like I always say them wrong. But I really enjoyed this book. I think if you are a fan of Gilmore Girls, you'll love this book. Lauren Graham also does the audiobook, so I typically do the audiobook and I read at the same time. I always like to start by reading the paperback, and I like to end by reading it, but sometimes when I'm cooking or driving or doing errands, it's nice to have the audiobook to like listen to both. And this book really surprised me. I thought it would be like good, but I honestly felt like it was so heartwarming. I'm going to Italy later this year because we're actually getting married in Italy, so I'm gonna go there to see the venue when it's like off season. So it was a nice like book to read to kind of get excited for going. And if you can't go to Italy this year and you read it, I feel like books are a great way to travel. During quarantine, I read Eat, Pray, Love, and I just feel like reading books about travel make you feel like you are traveling a little bit. So I highly recommend it. Basically, it's about a girl, actually it's a woman, probably closer to my age, and her mother dies. This happens this is like the first chapter, so I don't feel like that's too much of a spoiler. And essentially she goes back to Italy because her and her mom had planned a trip to go, and she decides to still go, and she goes to Positano. And it's like, I don't want to spoil it, but basically there's sort of a magic element to it. There's like a little bit of a twist, and it's just like, I don't know, it gives you the mother-daughter feels, it gives you the Italy summer feels, like Italian summer vibes. And I think, I don't know, I just thought it was a good read. I think it's like light and fun, and if you enjoy Lauren Graham, you'll like the audiobook. And there's actually a quote by her from Gilmore Girls in the beginning of this book too. So it's very much about like that mother and daughter relationship, and I think like understanding our parents and giving them grace, but also like the attachment, you know, we can feel to them, or like having them as our best friends. So it's also good about like love and relationships. So I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. And I don't know, I think if you are into the Italy vibes, like this is the book for you. Also, quick shout out, I just got this like embossed from Etsy. I don't know if you can see, but it says like the Library of Serafaye with like flower. I will link it below, but I think it's so cute, and I've been doing it to all my books when I finish them, so that it's like, I don't know, it just feels like it's a nice way to like do my stamp of approval, I guess, after I'm done. Okay, next I have The Vanishing Half by Bennett. This was a great read. We read this for my book club, actually, Bad Babes with Books, and I'll link it below if you want to join. It's completely free. We post our discussion questions and our virtual meetups, and then we also do meetups in LA. So follow along if you want to join. Anyone can join. And even if you don't live in LA, there's a lot of virtual stuff that goes on, so you can participate fully from home. It's very like low touch. I feel like I always tell my friends who are introverted to join, because I'm like, you don't even have to interact with anyone if you don't want to. You can just like interact with the account, and it's like fun to have other people to talk about the book with. We do fun little polls. And we only read books by female authors, so it's like a feminist, like woman empowerment book club. That's like kind of the core of our club. And every year we try to do a charity or donation. I like try to fix my bang and I messed it up. Okay, don't get bangs. No, I love how they look. It's just like I always forget before I get them that like they require so much time and effort. It's definitely not doing what I wanted to do, but it's okay. We're just gonna leave it. But yeah, so if you want to follow along, go ahead and follow along with our book club. This book really surprised me. Bennett is an amazing writer. She's super captivating. The audiobook is like off the charts engaging. I don't know her name. I wish I did, but the woman who did the audiobook and the voices, like she just really captivated me. So it was like really easy to get through, I think, with this and the audiobook. Sometimes like the audiobooks are not good, and that's a problem for me because I do a lot of like cooking and driving, and so it's easier for me to, you know, do a little bit of both. But I really enjoyed this book. I think it sends an important message about race, identity, there's trans representation, you know, it's about families. It's essentially about two twins who are from a small town, and they're Black, but they're white passable. And so one twin kind of goes in that direction, passing for white, goes through her life this way. And the other twin sort of, I don't want to say goes in the opposite direction, but she continues to live her life as a Black woman. And just seeing how their lives like pave out so differently. It also time jumps, so I wasn't expecting that, but like the time goes from one era to the next, and it like will span over like 5 to 10 years. So it's a good read. My only, not complaint, but like the ending kind of left me wanting more. So I do wish there was a little bit more in that. But like overall, I really enjoyed the book. Our book club had a great discussion about it at our book club brunch. So whenever we have a great discussion, I always feel like that makes me rate the book higher because it was like a great book for us to read in a group. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. I think I rated it on Goodreads. I rate all my books on Goodreads as well, so you can read more about it there. But so far, I really liked it. This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sugiura. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I try to pronounce it as phonetically as I could. This book really surprised me in a good way. I loved it. I didn't have like super high expectations going into it, but it just like, first of all, okay, so so it's about, I want to say her name right because she goes by CJ in the book, but I think her name is like Chisaki Joan. Okay, Chisaki Joan is her name. She goes by CJ in the book. And essentially it takes place in San Francisco, which ironically, I didn't plan this, but I actually visited some friends up in San Francisco for an engagement party. So I always love when I'm reading a book and it's somewhere that I'm going currently or about to go to, because it always just, I don't know, it just feels like so serendipitous. I love when that happens. But anyway, so it's based in San Francisco, and basically her and her family, there's like a long family history drama of her family versus like the McAllister family, which is like essentially a white family. And this book covers so many topics. Like I'm actually surprised at how many topics it was able to cover and still be like a fiction book, and very enjoyable and very sweet and light and fun, but also go into these like deeper meanings. So essentially her family owns a flower shop, and it's like her and her mom and her aunt. Her mom sort of like a single mom, and her mom's like this super high overachiever, and she's kind of more like just more passive. You know, she is passionate about certain things, but not in the same way that like her mom is. So that's like a storyline. Also really touches on like the biracial experience. Like she doesn't know who her dad is, but she knows she's like mixed, most likely with like a white man. So I feel like that's important. There are LGBTQ characters that are represented not in an overdone way, but like as her best friends. And she does talk about like that experience. And I love when it's not like overdone in a book. Like it's not like their main MO, but like it is a topic of concern. You know, it's something that's addressed, and it's also like visibility. Like there are multiple characters in this book. It just covers the model minority myth, white savior complex, feminist issues. There's talks of abortion, and like, but not in like, I mean, trigger warning, you know, for all of these topics, but I think it explains it in a way, especially if everything that's going on in the US right now, which by the way, if you can donate to any sort of abortion funds or, you know, any organizations that can help people get safe abortions, please do so. I did have a fundraiser on my Instagram, but there are so many other organizations you can donate to and like find ways to help, so please do that. But essentially, it talks about how her mom, sorry, this book's making me like so excited, but it just goes into so many, I feel like, plots and like so many themes that are important. And it also has like a romance and like a teen crush and like the difference between that and someone you actually like. And it was written so cute. Like the main girl, CJ, it's written, you know, sometimes she has these like diary-like moments where she's like being really petty and she's being honest about that. And I felt like that was so relatable. Like she wasn't trying to be like this perfect person. And I don't know, I just love it. Oh, and the flower shop, throughout the entire book, there are mentions of flowers and like their symbolism. And at the end, there's like a flower glossary. So you can actually like read what each flower symbolizes and means. And like it just is prevalent throughout the entire book. And there's a lot of symbolism. But please read it. For my book club, we do a book vote. So it was actually this one or The Vanishing Half. And they're both great books. I think The Vanishing Half probably won because it has a little bit more hype right now. I feel like I see it everywhere. But they're both amazing books, amazing authors. Personally, I love this book more. I just felt like it covered sort of more topics and like was more relatable for me, but they're both amazing books, so either way you can't go wrong. But give it a shot. If you've been thinking about it, I would say read it. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I feel like I could talk about it forever, so I'm gonna move on to the next one now. Okay, and then the last book I read, One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is going to be a motion picture, or I know it's gonna be a film adaptation. I think it will be a movie, not a series, but I loved her other books. She also wrote The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is an amazing book. If you're just getting into reading, that should be your first book because it's really good. And I think a lot of people kind of start off with that one. I think that will kind of get you into, I mean, all books are great, but that's a great one to begin with. She also wrote Daisy Jones and the Six, which is an amazing book as well. So I really like the author, and I was like, you know, this is going to be a movie. I want to read it to see, and it's going to star Shang-Chi, so the lead there. So, and as soon as I started reading it, I was like, I know which character he's gonna play. Like I could just tell. I don't know, I could just off of vibes. But I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I didn't like it as much as I like The Seven Husbands or Daisy Jones and the Six. So I was a little bit not disappointed, but it just wasn't as good as those two books, being honest. I also think maybe I'm a little romanced out because I read The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I don't know. I think it was still a good book. I enjoyed it. You know, it's sort of a love triangle as well. It's about, you know, she gets married to like the love of her life. He goes missing. He went on like a trip, and then she meets someone else and she sort of settles down into this new life with this other person, someone she's known for a long time. And then without, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but I feel like it's whatever it says in the back of the book, I just assume people are okay with hearing. I always go into books like super blind, so I don't know how much people want to know, but basically they find her husband, you know, after a couple years. And so now she's left with the choice of, do I stay with my current partner, who they become engaged at this point, or do I go back to my husband who I married and who came back? So it's sort of a, which, you know, it's a good lesson in love, I think. And it's really well written. Like her writing is always on point. I just think as far as storyline, I mean, you know, it gave what it was supposed to give. Like this is obviously a romance novel, so maybe I just wasn't like quite in the headspace for it, but it was good. And I'm excited to see the movie. I think if you are looking for a romance novel, go for it. But it wasn't my favorite of hers, just being honest. Okay, next. I'm a little scared to give my review on this one because I think the book talk community is going to kill me, but I did not finish this book. I started it. I'm having a really hard time getting into it. I was reading it. I also have the audiobook. The audiobook, I think she has an Irish accent, and I don't know if it's like the plot line. It might be a little bit of the tone of the audiobook as well. Like I'm having a hard time getting into this book, but I've heard so many good things about, I haven't read any of her other books, Sally Rooney. I've heard great things about Conversations with Friends, Hello Beautiful World. So I'm like trying, I'm trying. I will try again, but for now I was like, I need to put this book down and like read something else. Like I just could not get into it. I really wanted to read it so I can watch the series, although I think I've heard that the series is not as good as the book. So I don't know. When I posted this, someone was like, this book changed my life. So I will give it another shot. But for now, I just have not, I don't know, maybe it's a slow start. I feel like a lot of books start off slow, and if you don't get that momentum, you can kind of phase out, but it hasn't been my fave. I will try again. If you've read it and you loved it, please comment below and convince me, because I'm just having a hard time getting back into it. And so I've put it on the pause on the shelf for now. You know, I have my list and I'm like, I will read it hopefully by the end of the year. It's on my goal, but like I had to take a step away. So I'm sorry, but let me know if I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. I would love to be wrong. So now we can go into what I'm reading currently and what I plan to read in the upcoming month. I actually have more I'm probably planning to read, but I can't think of them all at the top of my head. So LA weather. As you can see, I'm a paperback girly. But the thing that sucks about being a paperback girly is that they only do hardcover for most books when they first come out. So I think this is fairly new, and there's no paperback versions yet. But I do have some hardcover books for that exact reason. I just prefer paperback. But we're reading this for my book club. We just started this week. When this book comes out, we may have been a little bit into it. But if you want to join, like I said, all the details are below, so you can join there. So far, I'm on chapter 3 or 4. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting into this book too. Like I said, we do a book vote. So I actually voted for the other book, which was Of Woman in Salt by Gabriela Garcia, which I'll get into in a minute. So it's always hard when you vote in our club, because like if the book you didn't vote for wins, and like, you know, you're stuck reading another book. But I like it too, because it does open my horizons to read books that maybe I normally wouldn't. So I do like it. It's a love-hate. But so far, it's well written. I love that it's based in LA, and there's a lot of LA's history that she goes into, Maria Amparo Escandon. And I think I just like didn't know what this book was about, like, because I wanted to read the other one, so I didn't even like read this description. But it's about like a family, and like they're based in LA, and the father is like obsessed with the weather. There's a lot of moving parts too. Like the family has like, there's a lot of kids and like, you know, spouses, so like the names are a little bit hard to, I think, in the beginning of the book like get a hold of. But like I said, always giving the book a couple of chapters before I judge it, and I have to finish it because it's a book club anyway. So I'll let you guys know what I think once I actually finish it. For now, I like it. I'm not completely 100% sold, but it's like just okay right now. It's not horrible to get through. It's just like, I'm just starting it. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. But it's interesting. Like, I will say that. It's like, I am interested in like the storyline. It's just like, I guess I just didn't know, like if the storyline's about the family, like I didn't know that's what, I don't know. I guess I'm just like, what is it, just like following their lives? Or like, I'm trying to figure out what is the main plot. But we'll see. I still have to give it more time. And then, as I mentioned, Of Women in Salt. This has been on my list for a while, and I've always seen it at bookstores, and I thought sometimes I'll wait to read a book to see if my book club chooses it, because then obviously I can read it with the club. In this scenario, it didn't win. So if it doesn't win, I'm also like, typically when there's 2 votes, usually I end up getting both books anyways, because I want to read them both. So yeah, so I'm excited to read this. I don't really know much about this either, other than it's a love story, and the cover is really pretty. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but it definitely helps. So yeah, I'll let you guys know what I think. I have not started it yet, but I plan to start it very soon. And then In 5 Years by Rebecca Serle. Again, hope I'm saying her last name right. But now that I read One Italian Summer and I really liked it, obviously like when I like an author, I want to read their other books. So I'm interested in this. I also think she did the book The Dinner List, which sounded really interesting too. So that's on my list for now. I have a big TBR. There's like for the rest of the year, I want to read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, some by Joan Didion. Like I want to read Persuasion by Jane Austen before the movie comes out. So I have a couple more on my list that I haven't actually bought yet, but that's what's in the works for me for the next month or so. So if you have any other book recommendations you want me to check out or review, or that you love, please comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please connect with me on Goodreads. I review a lot of my books there. I also started a new book account called To All the Books I've Loved, and it's basically going to be like my book diary, my bookstagram, and I'm just going to post book content there and like my reviews. So I'll still keep my personal accounts like separate. I'll still post book related stuff on my personal account, but I just wanted to have like a separate book account now that I'm like reading so much, to kind of give straightforward reviews, and that way if you need to search you can kind of just like see everything at once. So I'll link those below, but please connect with me if you're an avid reader, and I'd love to hear more about which books you love and any recommendations you have. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys again next week.